Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on what side of the pond you're on. Welcome to an extra special edition of Across the Pitch. My name is Phil Kennedy, and I'm here with my co-host, Tony Robinson, where we're extremely excited to welcome back one of our favorite guests to the show. He is a man that really needs no introduction, as he is Mr. Accrington Stanley, if you will. He is the guy that keeps the engine running. None other than Mr. Andy Holt. We're really, really excited, and thank you so much for having us to chat with us today. Andy, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on Across the Pitch. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for the invite.
It's Tony up here in Toronto in the cold, snowy north. But thanks again for doing this. And we've got lots to talk about. So why don't we just jump right in and just start out with asking if there's anything exciting been happening lately.
Hey, Tony, not to brag, but it did get down to 34 Fahrenheit here in Phoenix the other morning, which I think is like 2 or 3 Celsius. So
that's shorts weather for us, Phil.
That's as cold as it gets in these parts.
So the weekend,
it's cold here as well. Anyway, the weekend, it was some weekend really that's just gone. It was an unbelievably proud day for me and for the club and for everybody involved that we pulled off a fixture like that and played. I thought we played really well, and I thought we showed Accy off to the world in its best light, which is a great light. And I was so appreciative of how everybody performed, how the staff performed, how the team performed, and also the horse. They couldn't do anything else for us, and our fans were magnificent. You could hear them over top of Liverpool fans a lot of the time. It were nothing's perfect, but if something's going to get close, it will that Saturday.
It was a chance for you to show the world who are they, if you will, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I did see a lot of on social media, a lot of sites and clubs and groups from Liverpool, and everyone was positive about the club, the players, yourself, the fans as well. And I think it just had that Hollywood story, good feelness to it. I think. Can you sort of put in words as to what this could mean for publicity wise, not only in the UK but globally?
Well, globally, I mean, we've got customers all over the world in my core business, and I'm getting contacted, from all sorts of countries, and pictures sent to me of me being on the TV, which is not what I want to see, but there you go. They were being sent, and I don't know how many people actually saw it, but I know it were on in most nations, and the viewing figures must have been off the scale, and that's thanks to playing against the biggest club in Europe right now. So it were you're in awe of it really, because the organisation and what goes on at Liverpool to get them games on and what's going on behind the scenes. And I was fortunate they give me an all areas pass, which meant I could go anywhere I wanted, including on the pitch or in the changing rooms or in the press rooms or wherever I wanted. And when you see what a machine it is, they do a fantastic job. And for us, everybody, I didn't hear many people complaining from either side. There were a lot of really nice things said about our club, and it's not about me. It's deserved, because club showed itself in a really good light. Fans did. There were no bait in either side. It was just a joyous day out for everybody, and Liverpool appreciated it, and I certainly did.
And I imagine the milk advert was brought up a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, I met Ian Rush, and I was talking to him, but I thought I'm not I'm not going to get a bottle of milk out now. So we just had a little chat about things and what have you, Kenny Dalglish, and many people in there. Rick Parry at EFL's there, and a lot of people that I already know were in there. So it was really good.
And Phil, you were mentioning there was lots of coverage in the States.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask you about. You talked about global coverage. This is something that we talked with Warren Eastham about a little bit when he was on. Is something that is new this year is on an app called Paramount Plus, which is extremely popular here in the U.S. A lot of the League One, League Two, including Accrington games, are available on Paramount Plus. In fact, they show everything: Championship, League One, League Two, also the EFL Cup, the FA Cup matches. And Warren was saying that the numbers are coming back good, and that you're seeing a lot of viewership through that app. I just wanted to know, what are you seeing on your end, and how exciting is that to be able to grow the market of the US through that?
I mean. It's fantastic for the club. There's a bit of downside in that, it was played at 12:30 the match here to fit in with other matches and what's going on around the world. So kind of when you're doing that, you've got to give a bit back. You can't have it all your own way. And but the upside is that tens of millions of people, if they didn't know who Accrington Stanley are, they do now. So. And we need to do more than that. More of that. We need to use our brand that's a fairly well-known brand better. We need to develop more income streams, and when we're working on all of them, we're talking to people. There's talk about documentaries at back end that maybe on major channels and whatever. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that are really exciting.
Well, whatever we can do.
It's a brilliant story. I mean, that's why we do this podcast in the first place, and why we picked Accrington is because it's such a brilliant story. I mean, the history, and then everything. The smallest town in the football league. I mean, everything about it really does appeal to the American fan, that it gravitates to the underdog naturally.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant club, and it's a brilliant story. It's been a fight against the end of the world scenario ever since it was formed in '88 and joining one of the first teams in the football league, one of the 12 founder members, and it's been in and out and struggled ever since. And it is what it's going to be when you've got a small town competing against much bigger towns and much bigger fan bases. It is a great story, and every year that we do it, it's another great story.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that when you mentioned about Accrington FC being, the founding member, their first match was against Everton, and it was played at Anfield, which so there's a connection really from almost day one. With Accrington and Anfield and Liverpool. So I just we've talked about and anything we can do from our end to promote or to publicize anything that you're doing to spread the word, by all means, Warren, let us know, and we'll do whatever we can at our end. What I wanted to ask is, as the final numbers come in as to what the club may be receiving financially from that match?
No, I'm told it'll be early part of next week before we get it, because they've got to run all the payroll and everything for all costs of running the game. So when they get all that done, I'm sure we'll find it. It definitely won't be long. But I haven't got a clue what it might be, or what it will be, or what it won't be. But I sometimes think that fans get a kind of a dream in their head of it being like £1 million, which is no hope of that just by basic mathematics. But listen, that whatever it is, it's a fantastic do for our club. So I'm grateful for whatever we get, because I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for that ball being pulled out on the draw night, I thought when Man United got drawn against Arsenal, I thought, as usual, all Premier League clubs are getting drawn together, so we'll be all struggling with each other. You know, every club wants a decent draw. And when they pulled Liverpool out, I was actually going to walk out at room. And I turned around when they said Liverpool, and obviously they pulled our ball out, 21, and I nearly jumped through the roof. It was like unbelievable. I thought they'd all more or less all gone.
Did you do a Josh Woods reaction? Because he went.
I think we all did. It were deafening. You know, it were deafening. I'm glad nobody was filming it. Let's put it that way. Josh Woods can get away with it, but I can't. So no, it were a dream come true, really. It's and for Accy now, we've played, you know, top club in Europe. We played at Anfield. It's just another game ticked off. You know, you need games like that to get you through, you know, the hard times, and that's what FA Cup does. It gives you opportunities to do things, and so does League Cup, Carabao Cup. They give you opportunities to play games that you'd never play against, players that you'd never play against, in stadia that you'd never play in, and it's great for everybody. It's great for, I mean, Jed when he came, he's a big Liverpool fan, and he were saying we need to play Liverpool, and I thought, well, there's not much chance of that, but anyhow, let's see how we go. And we went and we drew him in his first season. John's an Everton man, so but he were really excited as well.
Well, I think, and you touched on it, and too, and I think it's worth mentioning is that the players performed very, very well, and really were unlucky not to score. I mean, the score says 4-0, but they didn't sit back, and they weren't. I say they were in awe, but they weren't scared of giving a goal, and I thought that was impressive.
Well, when we came out second half, I were hoping to get to half time at 1-0. Originally, I were hoping at 0-0, and then I were hoping at 1-0. And that 45th minute goal by Alexander-Arnold, Trent Alexander-Arnold, it were a sickener. It were a great goal, but it were a sickener. His timing were a sickener, and so we're going at half time 2-0 down. But it's been one goal where they've broke at the pace that's what they do. And next goal were a worldie that you know, there's no stopping it.
What was it like getting to see some of those world-class players up close and personal? Did it really? I'm sure it must be an eye-opening experience to see the skill level of some of those guys up close.
Well, I don't know. I see Sean Whalley every week, so. It's not rare, that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well done.
No, it's a big deal for our club and for all the players and whatever. So I'm you know, you're watching players that are unbelievably good. Did a kid on at 16-year-old, and he was brilliant. He would have got in our 73. He'd have got on our bench. That's for sure. Got some really top players.
Well, I don't think there'd be any chance of him coming on loan, though, is there?
Well, no, I don't think we'll get him on loan, but we'll try.
There's two things that really, Andy, I think this time of year that always sort of, especially with the fixture, that fans are on the tip of their tongues, and one is the money coming in, obviously, and then the other is the transfer window. Before we get in the transfer window, I do want to acknowledge, just before we come on to do the interview, there was a signing of a 22-year-old Charlie Caton, a striker from Chester. So I want to acknowledge that. So that's the second signing, basically, of the window. And I looked at the picture, and he looks like he's 14, let alone 22.
Well, he's 14 goals so far this season. That's one thing that is a few.
Well,
we really like him, and there were a lot of people after him. So, you know, to compete and be able to get him, I thought well done to the chaps. And I think he does look young, but you know, if he's got the ability, he's got the ability. That kid at Liverpool at 16 looked young, but you know, age doesn't matter; it's ability, and our lads and our team think that he's got it, and obviously I've got to follow what they say, because I wouldn't know one end of a football to the other. So it's very much a case of, if they believe that that's what they want, that's what they get. With other signings down the pipeline, there's one I think is virtually done, another one that will be done in the next few days, hopefully. It's virtually there, and there's a couple of others that they're working on. So there's been a bit of a change.
I was just going to say is, you've obviously got some good players in the midfield, and you've got forwards up front that you signed. Is there any sort of back four kind of players that are in this group that you're looking at?
All I can say is we're trying to strengthen every position.
Right.
So read into it what you will, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't, and we'll see what comes. I'm a bit hesitant to say too much, because sometimes they fall down at the last minute, and you've gone out and you said we'd get this and we didn't get it, and all the rest of it. So sometimes they fall down at the very last minute, these transfers. So,
well, I know one time there was a fella driving up and he got sidetracked and ended up signing somewhere else, I believe.
Exactly.
So, I don't want to give. Just there was a mention too that's been kicking around, and we saw yesterday that Dion Charles has been sold from Bolton to Huddersfield. Two-part question: A, is there a sell-on clause for him, and B, will Stanley get anything back from the transfer?
Yeah, there is a sell-on clause, and you can take it for read that if we sell a player, there will always be a sell-on clause, because I won't do it without it. So, and I never have. So that's been one of my key rules since in the last 10 years, ever since we started setting players on. So we do have sell-ons, and obviously sell-on is the difference between what it's the profit effectively on from in this instance from what Bolton paid us for the player and what they sell them at. We get 20% of that difference. So you can work it out yourself roughly what it is.
The number that was kicked around, and as I say, this is just what I read on Pulse, and that was that possibly coming to the club would be around 150,000 quid.
No.
Yeah, that would be 20% of 750.
So I'm too high on that. I'm too high on that.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
So it's 20% of the difference.
Right.
So if he's gone for 750 and we bought him for whatever it were, 350 or whatever it were, then we get 20% of the difference between buy and sell price.
That's good to know, because I think people just assume it's 20% of what the transfer is, and that's good to know. And that's interesting. So basically, when you're looking at
almost every transfer that's ever reported is incorrect.
Mm.
Well, what the club's going to get back is
yeah.
But if you look at the time frame, over the next couple of weeks, it's a sort of there's a good financial return coming back to the club. Probably not as much as what fans would estimate, but of the money coming in, and I think a lot of people were sort of wondering how much of that would be earmarked to the playing staff and how much goes into sort of the budget for everyday bills and that.
Well, there's at the end of the day, we're recovering from a £1.1 million loss last year. So, and hopefully we'll break even this year. So we've made massive inroads into the cost base and to the income side of it, talking it as a business. And things are coming better and better and better. Warren's doing a great job. The playing team under Dave Burgess are doing a great job. Results, I'm sure, will start coming. So in terms of income, just to get it so it's out there, I think we got 75,000 for television, 25,000 for losing. So I had an argument with FA some years ago that the losers should get a prize as well. All the money shouldn't just go to the winners, because losers have costs too. And particularly in earlier rounds at FA Cup, people need a few bob to live.
Yeah.
So we were fairly pushy on that, and thankfully FA did make this change. So we get 25,000 for losing, which is a bonus. We also got £12,500 for the Bird's Eye Chicken advert on the sleeve, for the patch on the sleeve. So there's little bits like that, and then we'll get 45% of the income from the crowd at Anfield after costs, but also after VAT and all the rest that goes with it. So you know, in a layman's terms, because I like to be open, if there was 60,000 there and ticket price were £20, you're not VAT off, and you're adding concessions and what have you, that'll take it down to about, say, 12. So you're at 720. So 720 less costs. If costs are 220, I don't know if they're 320, 420 or 120, but if they were 220, there'd be £500,000 to split between two sides in FA.
Right.
So that's the sort of logic that you've got to apply, and it's not $1 million because well, it just isn't. So
no, it's good to know, because there's a lot of factors that I think the average fan, and me included, that we just see what somebody throws numbers out. We don't know
one of those things where I think everybody thinks that they could be a GM on the sidelines, as we like to say over here out the States. And then when it comes to actually being a GM, that math is a lot more complicated than what you read in the newspaper.
No, I mean, to tell it right, it's fabulous. So I don't want to come across as ungrateful, because it's absolutely brilliant. I mean, just a day out. How do you put a price on that?
Yeah.
You know, how do you put a cost on that? It was fabulous for fans, for everybody. So, you know, even if the income were nothing, I'd want it because it's just such a great day.
Well, the publicity, you can't. I mean, you can't put a price on that. To be the exposure that you get, globally, is just, for being put on TV. It's incredible. When I was looking at some of the games in the past for Stanley that sort of would be historical. I mean, there's the West. I mean, for tennis wise, West Ham was at about 40,000. But as far as historical, there's the Crew match, which was played at Blackburn. Then in 2002 or 3, I believe, the match at Stanley against the Bournemouth, where they won on penalties. They all get mentioned in the history of the club. Where do you think Liverpool match will sit when the dust is settled in comparison to those other matches?
I mean, I'm at a disadvantage because I've only been there since 2015. So some of the matches that you mentioned, I weren't part of the club. I'd only ever been once before. I think we played Gillingham and beat them 7-4. It was something like that. They beat us 7-4, and that's donkeys years ago. So I'm at a disadvantage. But I were at West Ham, which was fabulous. I think we were the first EFL club to ever play at the London Stadium. And Liverpool were top drawer. A good mention for when we beat Burnley at Accy. That were
yes.
For me, because I knew away fans and home fans. That were brilliant. Matty Pearson scored it under the 20th minute, which will always be a big day for me. But in terms of the club, I doubt anybody would argue that Anfield weren't a massive day.
Yeah, I've done some research, and no team from Accrington has ever played Arsenal. So that's what I'm waiting on.
Yeah, well, I'm waiting with you. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think and the Burnley match you mentioned, I forgot about that one because I shouldn't have. I've got a print that's on the wall of Matty Pearson that was scoring against the Burnley that was auctioned off a few years ago by the Supporters Trust, and I bought it. And that's exciting, trying to bring that on the plane as a hand luggage. Yeah. But anyway, I forgot about that much. But yeah, there's some key ones that sort of stick in people's minds. And I think this has got to be, like you say, if it's not at the top, it will be as history looks back favorably on it.
I mean, there's other highlights, again, if I could just throw them in there before we go off subject, because it's important. But playing Leeds at home was a fabulous day. That was brilliant. And away at Middlesbrough in FA Cup. So we've had a few not so. I mean, I'd call Leeds a top team, but not up there in Liverpool's sphere. But we've had some really good matches.
And there was a couple too that I saw when it brought up attendance wise. There was a couple of matches at Sunderland when in League One that we were getting 29,000, 30,000 at the Sunderland Stadium. So I mean, and that back that was a big deal too. So there's been some good exposure, some good big matches that people can relate to and talk about. Yeah, and Leeds, I forgot about that because the Jesse Marsh, the coach of Leeds now, is actually coaching the Canadian national team. So but I think one of the things I wanted to touch on too, Andy, if you're all right with, is the announcement made in early December about the succession planning, and you said when in 10 years ago that you had a 10-year plan and you were sort of going to sort of back off or whatever in the 10 years, and we're approaching that now, and you've got this plan in place. Can you give us a sort of a timeline as to the switch of roles and how it will work?
Yeah. I mean, when you're a chairman of a club, there comes a lot of responsibilities as well. So you're dealing with loads of VFL things, and there's meetings and there's all sorts of things like that are going on. So I don't want to be doing them meetings. I don't want to be answering emails. I don't want to be getting involved in it. I want to be doing less. I'm 60 now, and I want to spend some time with my kids. I don't want to feel guilty if I'm not there, which I feel now, and it's a really funny feeling. And I want it to be clear that I'm behind club, come what may. I'm behind the club, I'm back at club, but I also want to back my family and my kids. So it's about getting balance in my life, and also I might add, David will slow down, so he's going to kind of move up and take that role, and then Warren will move up and take the role of CEO at club, which gives him room to grow the club, because he'll do that with Warren. So David's doing great on all the EFL stroke team playing side and all that sort of stuff, and having that extra person means we can develop the facilities. It means we can do more as a club than we could before. I mean, when we opened these facilities at first, there were David, and everybody mucking into it best they can, but you can't do both. You can't run the corporate and the income generating side and not do and let the other side slip, and vice versa. So having two in that position now is brilliant, and we just didn't have it before. So it's a better structure for the business. Sorry. So
just to clarify for everybody a little bit, so you're going to continue to financially back the team, and then David Burgess, he's going to move into the chairman's role, and then Warren, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, he this year has moved into what was David's role as managing director. He's going to move into CEO. And you're going to kind of step aside from football operations other than the financial backing. Is that my understanding? Just to kind of clarify.
I want to put my cap on when I feel like it and go and watch Accy and have a pint and enjoy myself. I don't want to be tied to anything else really. But there is no doubt that if I'm paying.
Your WAM business that you probably want to put more time into. Also, I always joked around here. There was a popular television show called 30 Rock over here in the States about 20 years ago, and there was a character played by Alec Baldwin who is supposed to be the CEO of NBC, and he would always joke around. He would say something like, "This show makes 5% of my profits and takes up 90% of my time," and I imagine that's Accrington Stanley for you.
It's a lot less now because, and that's the other thing. When you run a successful business, you've got to know when to get out of the way and let people do what they do good, and not get involved. And as we evolve it as a business, we've got good training facilities, good physios, good strength and conditioning lads, and good medical staff. We've got good bar staff. We've got good people around club. doing everything. You know, we've got good groundsmen. We've got a really good team at Accrington Stanley now, and they've got to be allowed to express themselves and grow. And you can't have somebody stood over at top saying, "This is what I want you to do," and "That's what I want you to do." You need to give them room to breathe and let them do what they think's right. So it's a good move. You know, it's a good move to get out that way and give them a chance. And obviously, I'm paying bills, so they're not. You know, chances will be limited to within a budget.
Yeah. So at some point, I'm assuming then at this point, Warren will report to David. David will still report to you, and you'll be involved in any final decisions that are basically involving finances, such as player acquisitions, etc. Am I correct on that? Or
well, I mean, eventually I won't be involved in that, because as long as it's within a budget, then they've got freedom to operate. Now, obviously, they've got to be doing a good job and be within budget. And if they're doing that, then you know, there's no need for anybody else to get involved. You know, I won't know a good player from a bad player. I know what I like to see as a fan, but I'm not a technically advanced analyst in football. You know, the old managers that I've known can you know, they talk things and I just don't see what they see. But I'm a fan. I like to cheer and I like to grumble about refs, and I'd like to do what normal fans do. So it's a good move for the club, and it's hopefully it'll mean that some Saturdays, if I want to go away and take me, I just took my kids to Florida and grandkids late last year.
Nice.
Went tornadoes were landing, which it was still all right. It rained. We went out there, only us in SeaWorld with cagoules on, and it were absolutely soaked through, but they had all rise to itself. So everybody give up.
Well, you got to do those
that's
things.
What I want to be.
Yeah, I think you got to do those things. I know what you're saying about age and family and spending more time, you know, with your children and with your grandkids, etc. I've gone through the same process, and it's something you look back and think, I'm glad I did it, and it's rewarding. But I think watching a match, you know, as a fan is you know, there's a lot to be said for that. And I think basically as far as with David and with Warren carrying on what they're doing, obviously that allows you time to sort of to back off and as you say, you got a plan in place.
Yeah, I have, and you know, when you run a business, you've got to let people do what they're supposed to do, and if they do and they do it well, then they get rewarded, and if they don't, then you know, there might be a problem that end. But we've got the facilities, we've got the people, we've got everything going for us now as a club. It's you know, we've got to get it on the pitch now. We've got to go and you know, put together some wins and get stuck in, and I think we will.
Yeah, you mentioned you a couple of weeks ago you came out and spoke well and sort of behind the John Doolan and Jed. Was that sort of feeling the need to do that, or was that just sort of something spontaneous that you wanted to let people know you were behind them?
Well, I think if somebody's worried about the job, you're never going to get peak performance out of them. So that's in any business. You can be a shopkeeper, you can be a car wash, you can be anything. But if they look like they're going to lose a job on Monday, you're not going to get the best performance out of them. People can't work properly if they're looking over the shoulder. So that's point one. We'd had a couple of bad results, and you know what fans were saying were right, and I felt exactly the same. But so did John and Jed, and so did Dave Burgess, and so did Warren, so did just about everybody. And we're putting it right, you know, and we see what's going on behind the scenes and the work that's going in, and you know what these lads have instituted in terms of regime and discipline and training and data and all the rest on every player we've got is really good, and it's going to get better and better. So the fans were disappointed. I was disappointed with performance at Carlisle, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
But we still could have got something out of it. But I try not to panic as much. I look at it now. We've had 23 games and we're on 25 points. If I look back at them 23 games, I think we should be on 30 or more. because we've given leads away at last minute, and so if we do what we did at first half, we're on 50 points. I think we'll do better than what we did in first half. But also, you're staying up maybe at 46 or something like that. How can happen?
Yeah, so, yeah. I think when you look at the teams below, they've all played one or two matches more than Stanley, obviously because of the FA Cup. That sort of, put the fixture lists back. But then there was a lot postponed. But the goal difference is positive, and you look in the bottom half dozen clubs for Stanley, and the games in hand. I know games in hand they're only valuable if you get some points out of them. But I think when they get into a good run of form, they seem to stick with that. And like the last two performances, after a sort of a letdown from Carlisle and from the draw of Liverpool, they've responded, and hopefully that will continue after the performance from the Liverpool match.
Well, I mean, it was the last. I'm just going to pull you up there, Tony. It was the last three performances because it was a great performance against Liverpool. So,
sorry,
if we play like that, if we play like that going forward, I'm sure we'll be okay. I've got every faith in the squad as well. What fans sometimes don't see that I see behind the scenes is just how together they are and how much they like John and Jed, and how much they look up to them and support each other. I mean, it's a real good camaraderie. So it'd be a fool to interfere with that, and I'm certainly, I like to think I'm not a fool, but some would say I am.
Well, and I know one thing we noticed, or one thing I saw yesterday is Nelson Kumveni, who really I thought handled himself well while his time at the club, and did contribute a lot to the team. He's gone back on loan, so there's a spot open, I guess for a loan player, but looks like would the goal be right now is to sort of get permanent players in on contracts like you've just done with Charlie Brown and Charlie Caton.
Yeah, and there's another one due in, and that'll make it 3. But the place of loan players in Accrington Stanley's future is key. Make no mistake about it. So we will always try to start with maximum amount of loans because, we need them. We can't afford. Let's put it this way: if you can loan a player for £500 a week, for example, and you've got 6 of them, it's £3,000 a week. It's £150,000 a year, say, for argument's sake. For 10% at budget, you've got 6 players of decent quality, and you just can't get round that. We couldn't afford to pay them the market rate for everybody in the squad. So then, for the rest of the squad, you've got your balance of your budget to spend on, which means we can't be a bit more competitive on the rest of the squad. So we'll always need loans to make up for the fact that we don't have the biggest budget. And it's great for, you look at loans we've had this year, last year, this season. They've done great.
Yes, I think, great. Yep. And Zach Hawes, I think, really come on leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Yeah, they've all done good. I mean, Jake Batty's top player. Billy's done well in goals. So you can go through team. Sonny's come on in leaps and bounds.
Yes.
We're doing all right. And,
is Jacob Batty back in sort of the mix for playing in the squad?
Well, he was on bench at Anfield, and if he weren't capable of playing, John won't put him on bench, even if it were Anfield. So I assume he's either there or getting there, and I'd assume, I don't know, my guess would be on bench, but I've no idea. I don't second guess what John and Jed do, but I know he's there or thereabouts. If he's not, in the team sheet Saturday.
Do you expect sort of a bounce up in attendance this weekend? Any idea if it'll translate over to that?
Well, what I can say is every single seat in the house in terms of hospitality and whatever's gone. That's been sold out a while. Warren's selling them out really quickly now. He's got all sorts going on to sell them. So we're full in there. I do expect a good number on, but and there'll be a good number of Notts County fans. I don't tend to second guess it nowadays because I want as many as we can get, and what we've got, I'm grateful for.
Right.
it'll be what it'll be. We'll keep doing his best to grow it, and that's what we do.
Absolutely. Now, Andy, I definitely want to tell you how much we appreciate your time here with us, and this is my final question for you here today, and that just has to do with results on the field. And we've talked about 5-year and 10-year plans. And kind of what I wanted to know about is your 5-year plan on the field in terms of goals. Now, obviously, staying in the Football League is king. That's top priority. And then everything else kind of falls in line after that. So my question to you is, how big of a priority is it to get back into League One? Or is your priority just to build a great academy, build a strong squad, and then kind of let the results fall as they may?
Well, we're as a club, we've got ambition to go higher. The ambition this year, I made it clear, certainly not John and Jed's ambition, but my ambition is we need to build a base back in League Two, a base from which we'll grow, a base where where John and Jed can build a team that's what they want, rather than having to take people, because we had to lose a lot of players last season, and we're having to get rolling. We had to. It was a bit more rushed, whereas now we have a squad that's building, that they're adding to and adjusting rather than changing it all at once. And when you change every member of the team, there's a big risk, or a lot of members in the team. So now going forward, the second year under their reign, there'll be an improvement on first year, I have no doubt, because a lot of players that we've got that they want this year will be here for next year. They've learned John and Jed's ways, that understand the way we operate. So, and then next year we want to push on. Now, when I say push on, some of the performances we've had this season would put us in playoffs. For me, we've given far too many points away, and it's been disappointing. But we were giving points away when underlying performance were good. So last 3 games have got the underlying performance, and we won 2 and lost 1 against European top club in Europe. But if we keep putting that performance in, I'm not even concerned that we aren't going to move up that table. And I don't see anything that's any negative at the club or with the management or with the players that leads me to think that they're not going to do well. They're going to have good days and they're going to have bad days, but I think we're better than 25 points for first half of the season. I think if we played it again, we'd be way above 30 for first half of the season, which if you get second half of the season, you're moving up. So let's see. Last thing I want to do is put pressure on managers and players and what have you. But I can tell you, I rate them highly, and I think we've got every chance.
Well, I just get a sense too from and when the matches I was at, they were just sort of going through the bit of a tough spell. I mean, the one match against Port Vale, they gave up the 2 late goals, but there was a sense in the crowd that here we go again. I know I'm watching and I follow, but you can get a lot from what's been commentated and the sound of the crowd. I just don't get that feeling that the crowd is sort of. Look at it when they concede a goal, looking at it in a negative light. They sort of seem to be more favourable and supportive of the club and the players now.
Well, I mean, let's look at Port Vale, for example. They were top of the league then, and we were 2-0 up and should have won. We got a draw against top of the league and we're disappointed. We played Walsall that God knows how many points clear at top of the league. Now they were about a dozen clear at top of the league, and we're going to draw at home against them. We played Gillingham away, and we got points against them away. So we're playing a lot of the good clubs. Not saying they aren't all good. We're playing a lot of were at the top clubs at the time and doing well against them. And we're having off days. I mean, we're a new side, and you've got to get that. But we're showing that we can compete in this league. So I would disappoint. There's no more sickening than losing a 2-goal lead, and there's no more pleasing. So if it's the other way around, we get two late goals and we pull back to 2 apiece, everybody's running around happy as Larry. we're all jumping up and down singing, but when it's the other way around, we're like all down at dumps. But at the end of the day, the result's the same, 2 apiece. So you've got to keep it in context. If we're playing against teams with a lot bigger budget than us, and we're giving them a game, so it's 2 apiece is 2 apiece. It's a draw, and that's that. But it always feels better when you come back from behind.
The one last thing I just wanted to ask about, and you've got a fixture come up in middle of March with Gillingham coming in. That's going to be a sort of a unique situation, and with Gillingham coming in with their new management team. How's that? How are you looking forward to that? To see what goes on? The response there.
I mean, first of all, I'm delighted John and Jimmy's got somewhere. There's no doubt that they can do the job, and I wish them all the best by when we play them. But I'm delighted for them. It's the things that I do and I feel I have to do in running a business and a club is make decisions that sometimes are hard. They'll come up here and they'll do the best, and we'll do our best, and whatever will be. But I wish them all the best. If they go and get promoted this year, I'll be happy for them. It's no problem at all. So it'll probably have a little bit of extra spice, but there's nothing personal from me. I want them to lose that day, but every other day I hope they win.
Good. The club was put up for sale. Is that sort of something somebody comes along with the right amount of money that the club will be sold, or is it sort of things just on hold in that respect?
No, if somebody comes on that's got the right intentions for the club and wants to talk about it, then we'll talk about it. But we're looking at somebody that takes the club forward. We're not looking at somebody that just wants to get involved and do nothing. And if nobody comes along, then we're not bothered. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is. So I'd be happy to step aside if we got Ryan Reynolds and his mate come up and want to do it and do what they've done at Wrexham. I'd be more than happy to step aside. But failing that, it has to be people with right intentions that are going to look after the club and community and fan base and do the right thing. But there's not much chance of us achieving that, I don't think. But let's see. It is. Yep. It is. Yep. I'm happy as it is, and I'm happy that I've always done what I believe is in the best interest of the club, and I'll continue to do that. Yeah.
Well, it's much appreciated, from our end, and I know from a lot of people that how the club has developed under your leadership. So, well done to that. Phil,
do you have anything like Powerball up in Canada?
It's a lottery thing. No, they have a.
I've been gonna start buying some Powerball tickets, and Tony, we need to get a Powerball pool together to buy Accrington Stanley. That's our next project.
Well, as long as I put some money aside for the kids and I've got some enough left over to help, I would.
Well, I mean, this thing usually the jackpot is like $100 million. So I mean, I'm pretty sure we could give Andy like half of that, and we'll still be okay for ourselves.
You won't have enough money.
Oh well, listen, Andy. I just want to say thanks for doing this. I appreciate your your honesty and how transparent and open you are to us, and thanks for your support. We much appreciate you doing this. Thanks again.
Not at all. Anytime, you know where I am, and I look forward to seeing you again sometime.
I've got the tickets booked for next August, so hopefully we'll have a chance to have a pint, at the lounge and when I'm over.
I'll look forward to buying you a pint.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one day I'll be able to make everything work out to actually get across the pond, and definitely the Wham Stadium will be destination number one. And Andy, I just I can't thank you enough for taking the time with us, and thank you for all the times that you've come on the show with us, and we thank you for everything that you do with keeping the club that we love alive. And what we want to do, as always, is wrap up with an on Stanley on. So here we go. On 3. 1, 2, 3. On Stanley on.
On Stanley on. Yeah, listen, the only thing that matters is Accrington Stanley. And thanks for everything you do. Take it easy.
Thanks so much, Andy. Cheers, Andy.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Tony.